as you well know, Dubai Design Week kicked off a little earlier on today. And to find out what's happening there this year, we've been able to prize away from the shop floor the director, no less, of the show, Natasha Carella. Natasha, really good to see you.
You too.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us on what must be like probably your busiest day of the year.
Yeah, but at least it's kicked off and all good so far.
You can relax now. You can take you can sit for a little while.
One more week and
take
then
it
we can
all in. I talked a little bit earlier on about the evolution of the design landscape, the design industry and all its guises here, and the Dubai Design Week has been very much at the heart of that in all its iterations down the years. How do you feel it's evolved from when you visited as a visitor to now being show director?
So we celebrated our 10th edition last year, so it has been around quite a while. And the thing is, Dubai Design Week is just a kind of key moment in the calendar where everyone who has anything to do with design uses it as an opportunity and a platform to showcase, whether that's new product launches, experimental ideas, talks, exchange. And we see that Dubai Design Week has really kind of evolved, taking on the sort of makeup of Dubai itself. I would say that exactly what you had said earlier, maybe even 10 years ago, there was more of an import culture, where we're seeing a lot more that is being built and made from here as well.
Yeah. There's such a global focus on eco-conscious creativity, and are there any installations or designers this year who are really pushing the message of sustainability?
I think that's a question that's really been informing a lot of people's practices when it comes to design, just because that's such a global, urgent challenge to begin with. And it's actually really fascinating because we have 15 new materials that have been produced and made in Dubai that look at this sort of like eco-conscious aspect. And one of the installations is by this incredible studio called Art Collective, and the entire thing is made out of date seeds, and it's like a new sort of alternative way of building, and again made from materials that are indigenous to this country. So we're seeing a lot of these different ways of like looking at sustainability and how it can inform the way that we build.
I love the idea of using those date seeds. It sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Now, you might have heard us talking a little bit earlier, and I mentioned specifically about interior design, like international brands coming in. I'm interested to know within Dubai Design Week, how are you collaborating with international designers as well as global designers, and how are you finding that balance?
Well, I think it's the makeup of Dubai any which way, because we have over 200 nationalities here, including from the region and beyond. And at Dubai Design Week, we have various sort of program areas, whether that's large-scale installations, exhibitions. We have downtown design, which is our trade fair, as well as editions, looking at limited edition art and design. And what we really try to do in terms of that makeup is really have a good mix of both regional representation and international, because I think that's very unique and speaks to here. But also what we're seeing is a lot of crossovers and collaborations, which I think is really fascinating. So we have one of our brands, Gégé Lecourte, who's commissioning a Filipino illustrator, an Emirati architect, and a French culinary chef. And I feel like these are these sort of unique pairings you'll only find in a space like Dubai.
Amazing.
You can't talk about design without identity, and this idea of a Dubai identity when it comes to design. You know, yeah, we can talk about Parisian-inspired interiors or Greek-inspired architecture or otherwise. Is there can we lay claim to a Dubai identity now or not when it comes to design? Or given the fact there are so many different nationalities working together in this melting pot, is it difficult to come to one?
I think yes, it definitely is, mentioning how many we have here in terms of nationalities. But I think what we can see being defined here is a sort of ethos or approach to design. And for me, what I find really interesting, especially with the new generation of designers, is that they're really using design not only as something which is a form and function, but as a tool for storytelling and to tell culture and heritage, but not in a very sort of on-the-nose way, but looking at it really in a contemporary way. And so we're seeing that because there's such a big nuance between a design that you can find in a Kuwait or a Bahrain, let alone across Saudi Arabia. And I think design becomes such an opportunity to tell those stories and to tell those nuances.
That actually brings me to my next question. Are you expecting, because every year we see something completely unexpected become the crowd favorite. So are you seeing any new design trends or installations that are going to really shock the crowd?
No pressure? I think so, because you see, I think this is the thing that's really fascinating, is that you have so many, we have over 1,000 architects and designers and practitioners who are participating. And so the kind of plethora of different approaches to design, I think, was always going to be unique year on year. We do have certain special commissions that we do ourselves. In fact, we have the guest joining us later who are going to speak on that more. And it's really an opportunity to platform certain sort of themes and narratives. I think what I find really interesting, and this is for me is a personal sort of like taste as well, is that we're moving away from sort of your beiges and minimalist kind of outlooks, and people are really returning more to that maximalist, colorful sort of aesthetic, which for me is something that I live and breathe. So I'm really happy about that.
Fantastic. I'm also very happy to hear about that, because if I see any more beige like boucle fabric, I think I might cry. So I'm happy to hear that there's a bit of colour being injected into
absolutely.
Design.
It all has its own space, but
Yes,
definitely there's more for everyone.
Definitely. So Natasha, if anybody hasn't been to Dubai Design Week, what can they expect? And are there any specific talks or workshops or demonstrations that people should be checking out this year?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it kicked off today and it finishes on November 9th, which is the Sunday. And you can find anything for sort of all ages and all disciplines and all sort of expertise as well. So we have something called the Makerspace, which is our workshop program, which is like facilitators that are flying in from all over the world to really think about different design disciplines. We have a weekend marketplace, which is an opportunity for homegrown businesses to have access to our sorts of audiences. And I am very much about shopping local. And sorry, just to add that it is taking place in Dubai Design District, which, as you mentioned, really is the hub for a lot of these sort of design companies and organizations. And we take over the entire space, and really there's something for everyone.
Amazing.
In the architecture field, sorry Ash, I'm jumping in there, but it's just suddenly thought about this idea that we've got, we're talking a lot about this made in the Emirates tag at the moment when it comes to manufacturing, when it comes to industry. And we're going to be talking to young Emirati architects in just a little while. From a design space, is that something that we could also look at, that more and more products are being, you can put that tag of made in Dubai, made in the UAE, made in the Emirates here?
Absolutely, because I think going back to what we were saying earlier about how there was a larger import culture before, it was also because there wasn't that much manufacturing or sort of supply or value chain that existed here. But that is the true Dubai fashion that has sort of shifted completely over the last 10 years. And there's a lot more methodologies, materials, producing just in Al Quoz, for example, or even in Sharjah and Ajman. And so they are giving access and opportunities for designers to build and make here as well.
You don't just have to go to a large Swedish home store or anything like that these days?
I mean, there's still some limitations, but absolutely you can do a lot more.